Trudeau blames MAGA Republicans for the lack of support in Ukraine in Canada. Trudeau has alleged that, quote, right-wing American thinking has infiltrated Canadian politics and has caused the Conservative Party to, quote, turn their backs on Ukraine, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said on Friday. Trudeau called out the Conservative Party after they unanimously voted against an update to the Canada-Ukraine Free Trade Agreement. Trudeau said that, and I quote, "I've actually boasted that it's not a political debate in Canada. All parties are aligned in Canada and stand with Ukraine. So it is particularly troubling, even though we see a rise of right-wing rhetoric in the United States with the MAGA conservatives and also across Europe in certain corners of the right-wing politicians and parties, starting to also pull their support for Ukraine. They're all starting to parrot Russian disinformation, misinformation, and propaganda." So Jonathan, does Trudeau have a point? What do you think about this?
Well, there's two really big problems with what he's saying. First of all, he's the one turning his back on Ukraine. Bold statement, right?
Ooh, that's interesting.
What did he just introduce? He didn't introduce this argument is about an adjustment to a free trade agreement. What did he put in the free trade agreement? A carbon tax. He's implementing a carbon pricing and carbon tax rule in their free trade agreement. So you've got the Prime Minister, who's fledgling at best, who implements a carbon tax in our country, which nobody supports, everyone argues against, and does not do anything to save the environment. He then goes, when a country is under duress and needs help, and adjusts their free trade agreement, and what he says is, you're going to take my failed policy, and you're going to implement it in your country as well. So basically, he says, we're going to hold you hostage to this free trade agreement adjustment, otherwise we stop doing business. And then he wants everyone in Canada, or the Conservative government in this case, to support it. It's preposterous. That's what Pierre Poilievre is actually pushing back against. That's why there was unanimous support against it. It was a frivolous thing to add into a free trade agreement for a country that's already struggling. So how's our country doing right now? Not very well. Not very well. So economically, I should say. Well, there's a lot of other things that aren't going well, but economically. So they add in this carbon tax, which just adds a multiple tax to something people have no choice but to use, which is gasoline or heating their homes for the majority of cases, right? Like I say, no economic lever to increase it. You just have to use it, or you either can't go to work or you die freezing in your home. So you want to implement this increased tax in a country that is now war-torn and will see no stability for likely 10 years. And you think that the Conservatives are the one turning their back on Ukraine. You're a moron, Trudeau. That's the problem here. And he's just wrapping it up in this bullshit bow that he likes to say that, all right, well, rather than take any responsibility or maybe question the policy that I'm trying to put into this free trade agreement, which makes no sense, I'm going to call the opposition MAGA Republicans because that's inflammatory and that will get everybody to see things my way. This isn't the first time he's done this, right? So he did this when the, I don't know if it was just the Muslims, but it was a majority Muslim group that were not supporting teaching gender ideology in kindergarten to grade 12 in schools. Well, who the hell supports that? Nobody supports that. The only people that support it are the people that don't have kids or are so far up the left wing's ass they can't think for themselves. Those are the people who support that. So to say, oh, this is mega Republican thinking, bro, slow your roll. So what this is an attack that he tried to make against. He tried to mobilize his side. That's what it is. He tried to make an attack against the mega Republican ideology, which he knows will mobilize his side. That's what he does. He throws inflammatory remarks at things versus using logic and reason and actually trying to resolve the issue. So again, I mean, is this the last time he's going to do it? Absolutely not. But does it have anything to do with it? Absolutely not. These two things are not correlated whatsoever. I mean, it was kind of funny the other day. I don't remember who it was. Guy shuffles his cabinet so much, I can't keep track of who's in charge anymore. But there was a gentleman on TV speaking yesterday or 2 days ago. They were literally blaming Tucker Carlson. They were blaming conservative views on a carbon tax in Ukraine that somehow Canada gets to implement on Tucker Carlson. That's how far the left wing has lost it. That's how far they've gone to try to prove it makes no sense at all. So for me, I mean, this is just ridiculous. It's ridiculous, ideological crap coming from a guy that shouldn't be where he is. So there you go.
Yeah, honestly, that's how it usually goes. Whenever he doesn't get his way, his first thing is Russian different disinformation. Oh, MAGA this, MAGA that. But does he not realize that MAGA is actually gaining support across like the U.S. and Canada as well too?
Well, I mean, I don't really love the idea of calling it MAGA Republican. I think they use it. It's derogatory, right? That's the whole thing. It really is, right? But the reality is, like, people in America don't mind being Republicans, but a lot of them don't want to be called mega Republicans, right?
Yeah.
It is the way that a lot of the people in the left and in the Western world that are really pushing this liberal ideology, they use that as like an inflammatory remark. It's synonymous with basically calling them a Nazi. That's what it is, right?
Yeah, at a certain point, at a certain level.
There's no merit to it. There's no merit to it, but they try to parrot it so that they live in the same category. So he only says this stuff to anger people and to piss them off so people don't look under the hood. So Trudeau tried to pull a fast one by implementing this carbon tax to show everybody how great it is that he's saving the environment, and he got called out for it. So what he does is he just throws a hissy fit and calls everybody a Nazi, but in this case, a MAGA Republican. It's just bullshit.
Yeah, it's complete nonsense. And it's just sad to see that, he is taking advantage of them in this regard when throughout the entire process, we could have had a much more mutually beneficial agreement. Like, if he made more trades with with pushing like the natural gas sector or, getting our petroleum over to Europe and Ukraine during this time. But instead, he wants to make up for the lost time with another tax.
Yeah. I mean, again, for me, what's bizarre is the leader of a country. Because, at the end of the day, I mean, Ukraine's a first world country. Right now, it's probably not really in great shape. You know what I mean? It's on that level. So why is a leader from another country trying to implement tax rules inside of your borders? What does he even do? He's so far out of his depth even suggesting something like that. I just disagree with the entire thing. So I just think Trudeau's completely wrong here, and I think he was grasping at straws, and he had no reasonable argument. That's actually the much better point to all the things that the more emotional response I might have. The reality is he had no logical response or would have used it. If he said, hey, the conservatives are hurting our relationship with Ukraine and relationship with the world and hurting all these other things because of their decisions, and here's why, ... A, B, C, D. That's what he would have done if he had anything, but he had no ammo. So he then throws out right-wing rhetoric, and then he gets a guy on stage to blame it on Tucker Carlson. It's just such a misdirection of bullshit. And, more people like me, hopefully, are calling this guy out for this nonsense because that's exactly what it is.